to just start this video, okay? Because I don't want to get interrupted. But I pray and I bless that this is a blessing. But I want to reflect to Psalms 24. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. Okay, so I earlier today I was reminded of a dream that I had, and this particular Bible verse keeps reminding me of that dream as well. A dream that felt vivid, so vivid that I could taste the salty mist from the ocean. So, and this is how it started. I was in front of the ocean, and it wasn't moving, it was just still, right? It was just standing still, and I'm in front of it. And then little ripples it started happening, and then they started getting bigger and bigger, and you kind of get the idea, right? And I'm standing on wet sand, okay? And so, when you're at the when you're in front of the ocean, it's the sand is wet, so you kind of sink in a little. So well, I'm a heavy set, so yes, I start kind of wiggling myself in, and I personally do it on purpose to kind of go inside. But in this dream, I started kind of, I remember my feet feeling obviously wet, and then I could feel the sand, and then I started kind of sinking in a little, but then in front of me, a rock appeared, a rock enough for me to stand on. So, I mean, like a stepping, not a stepping stone, but a rock, right? Because the waves are coming faster and heavier and stronger and bigger, and the rock wouldn't budge. It was it's just there. And so then I take that step, right? So I stand on it, and then the waves keep moving like harder and harder, and almost up to my waist. That's all I can remember. And then so there's another rock in front of me, and so I go up to that rock, and then the water keeps going and going, and then more rocks appear. And so I guess I was like, in my head, take should I take the next step or not? Because I feel like, okay, I'm comfortable here. This is not moving. But in my head, I was like, if I go to the other rock, I could slip, or that rock it could be deceiving. So I felt comfortable and safe. And then the next rock, I was like, ooh, should I go? Should I go? And so I move forward, right? So I go to the third rock. And then another rock appears in front of me, and the waves are like big. They're like 10 feet, right? Because the rocks were somehow lifting me up, right? And so on that fourth or fifth rock that I was standing on, it was I felt comfortable. And then another rock appeared in front of me. And then I was like, what do I do? Should I move? Should I not? Like I was so comfortable where I was, and that rock could be deceiving. Like, what if I step on it, I slip, or I fall, or sinks in? I don't know. So then I took that leap of faith. So then I continue going from rock to rock to rock, and they were moving higher and higher and higher. And then when I look in front of me, I see almost like a little trail of these giant rocks forming, and to my left I see this giant, like, big, it almost looked like a mountain, but it was just a giant rock. And then so I thought, well, I did these, I want to say 15 rocks, okay. And I looked at the path and I said, I can do the rest, so I can walk. I can jump him and I'm going to be safe. I know I am. So I kept going higher and higher and higher and higher. But when I got to that giant rock, I was like, how am I going to jump on top of that rock? And then I looked to the side of the rock, and there were stairs, those, but they were made out of metal. And then in my head, I was like, oh, I can easily walk the stairs. Like, oh my gosh, I can easily do it. So as soon as I said that, like, part of the stairs collapsed and fell. And then I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I don't know how to, because in my head I was like, okay, they fell apart. I'm going to fall down, but that's okay. It's water. But then I remembered I don't know how to swim. In the water, the waves were just smacking the rocks so hard. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what am I gonna do? So I was either debating to stay on that rock that I was still on, and thinking, should I jump to the stairs and walk it off and I don't know what to do. So then I just decided to jump on the stairs. And so when I went on the stairs, I started walking. Then I come to that part where the part of the stairs are like broken, like they just collapse. And then I was thinking, oh my gosh, should I try to jump to see if I reach the other end and then just fall to my death? Or what should I do? So then I just remember, as a kid, I grew up next to a huge kind of park full of trees, giant trees. I mean, the arms of the trees were like wide, like they were like 3 feet wide. So the branches were so big that we used to like lay down on them. It was really fun. So I just remember my childhood at that moment, and I'm like, oh, I can kind of go swing a little and then jump, right? So I'm picturing this in myself, and I remember I did do that jump. But I don't think I did it by myself. I believe that Jesus had a lot to do with it, because I made it, and I just remember when I made it, I was hugging the rock. And so I started walking up, and then that was it. I don't see a door, I don't see anything. But I just remember I was looking at the rock, and I was just like, okay, what do I do now? And I just remember that the rock, I saw that a door appear on the rock, and so, and I just pushed it in, and it opened. And when it opened, inside this giant rock, I saw a lot of ships. I saw a lot of white boats, ships, different kinds, different sizes. And I was just like, whoa, like inside this giant rock, there's boats and ships, and I mean, all kinds of boats and ships. And so I already kind of knew which one was mine. And so I walk inside, and I go to the boat that was mine. And so when I got inside, I remember that on the side of my eye, I saw a black shadow that got inside with me, right? So as I go inside, close the door, and I knew this demonic presence was there. I almost remember that the ship started moving up, up, and away from that giant rock. And then I just remember that there was this giant, like giant that was there, that I think he was holding onto the ship. And I mean, I was a peanut compared to this giant. And I almost feel like this giant was standing on sand and on water, but he was holding this boat I was in. And then I remember he grabbed this demon, and he did something very vile that I don't want to say. He was just devouring this demon. And the boat that I was in just took off. It was taking off in midair. It wasn't on the water, it was in midair, taking off into the sky, then out of the earth atmosphere into the universe. Because I remember I was just laying like this, and I can see the earth getting smaller and smaller, and I was going out into the universe, out. And I just remember I was just keep going, 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 until, when you go to school and you read about the planets, you see everything so little, right? And so I see the whole entire universe, and I was laying like this on the boat. And when I started getting further and further and further, I see the whole entire universe, and the earth and the planets and the stars and the moon and the sun inside the scroll. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like, I was in shock, right? And so all of a sudden I see the scroll rolled over, like it closed. It closed. And so when it closed, a big giant hand just grabbed the scroll and dumped it in a basket of trash. So that was that dream, and it was beautiful. And ever since then, I realized that the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. Okay, That's it. And I hope this is a blessing to know that our God, creator of heaven and earth, loves us so much that he gave his only begotten son, Jesus, to die for us, for all of us, you know? And Jesus did it willingly, and he was perfect, and he loves us, and he loves you. Okay? And that's it. Okay, thank you so much. Bye.